Hello student, today we will discuss about the transportation planning and the basic thing about the transportation demand. So I will not go in details discussion about this thing because it itself take 5 to 6 lectures. But I will just give you some idea about or the introduction about the transportation planning, means how we should plan town or any transportation segment before the final implementation. What are the various type of transportation demand, or how we do this analysis, that will be discussed in today's class. So let me introduce myself. Our today's topic is transportation planning and demand analysis. So myself, Dr. Debasish, I am assistant professor of civil engineering department, JIS College of Engineering, Kalyani. Here is my contact details are given, my WhatsApp number and mobile number and the email ID for further communication. So what is transportation planning? So transportation planning is a preparation planning to move or transfer human, animal or other than other item to some places to another places. This planning will relate to operation of highway system, geometry and operation of the traffic facility. So basically planning is indulges all movement of the human being, animals, goods or other items. Even the planning, how we provide the circular curve, how we provide the horizontal curve, means the geometric design, the highway system, the operation means which type of mode are allowed in which type of road, how we are going to segregate the lane, how we install the traffic signal. So the all thing from your alignment to the final mode of movement is considered the transportation planning. So from these two terms, the transportation and the planning itself, you can understand what is our today's point of discussion. So the function of the transportation planning to identify the highway system component, to define transportation planning, to recall the process and purposes of construction planning design, to identify four models of transportation. What are these four models? As I said, that these are some transportation demand models, or rather say your our transportation planning models. This based on these models, we are going to find out that which route we are going to select, based on what are the parameters for selection of the route. There are traffic volume, means these things are here term as the trip generation, trip distribution, trip assessment and mode choice. So these are the four important segment in transportation demand and the planning sector. So what are the various important of transportation planning? It is efficiency, because if we go in a proper planning way, the work should be in efficient way to achieve a efficient management and better management of the existing resources. Effective use of transportation system, use of technology, land use and resource controlling. Quality, to reduce a negative impact to the traffic that produce a pollution. Yes, the pollution and the accident are the major two concerns in today's transportation segment, and if we go with a proper transportation planning system, then this quality aspect will be improved by reducing of the pollution and the accident. Next is the equity. Equity is to meet the travel demand and the response of all communities, means we have a demand or we have some supply. There always be some balance should be there in demand and supply. We have the demand of 1,000 trip, but we can provide only 500 trip. So there is a lack of 500 trips per day. So that how to meet this demand and supply, that is one of the biggest challenge in transportation sector. And if we can fulfill that thing, we are done, we are done. So this is the main thing we need to focus, how to balance this demand and the supply chain. So the transportation planning period, the short term period is a review matter that can be completed within 3 years and involve high cost. Example, program and engineer to optimize the use of existing transportation system by installing various traffic control devices such as signals and the signs. Means suppose there are various type of signals, as I discussed in my traffic signal lectures, that sign signal lectures, that the design of the traffic signal, there I have discussed there are manual traffic signal or semi automated and automated. So how these traffic signals are designed, because when we go for the manual, it is not possible that it will be continuous and continuous and constant throughout the day or throughout the week or throughout the month or throughout the year. So there will be some variation are there. So which thing we will going to select, that thing, in that for that thing we need a proper planning. Actually, in our daily life itself, in every aspect we need some planning. Without the planning, the things cannot be proceed in a smooth way, or we can achieve our goal successfully. So the planning is required. And if we are talking about the transportation system, yes, here itself we need some proper planning. Long term planning is basically more than 5 years. So this type of planning is more structured, complicated, complicated, and it must be designed better than short-term planning. Urban transportation planning process involve planning the next 20 to 25 years. Characteristics of transportation planning: determine the transportation needs, build a transportation formula, study the profitability, traffic or travel pattern is clear, stable, and can be controlled, relationship between the various mode of transport. The transportation system can be influence the development of the area and ready to serve it. Mean there that what is the needs? As I said, that what is the demand? What is demand of me? Whether I can walk a 2 kilometer to get my bus, or I am not ready to move even the 100 meter to get a car or to get a public transport. So what I need, what is the need of the user, that need to be is studied in a proper way, so that we can find out the what is the actual need of the user. Next is that to fulfill the needs, what are the formula we need to be followed, and what are the pattern we need to follow to make a relation between this need and their uh, and to fulfill that need. And finally, it influence the development. If we can provide the need, it will definitely develop the transportation system of that particular area. So the transportation planning process is basically, the first thing is the planning process, and next thing is the monitoring and review, and third one is the implementation. Means if you are appearing for the any exam, so first thing is our preparation, our planning. Next is the mock test or the your review test. That is the preliminary test that we need to follow, and finally we go for the final test. So now I will discuss about the planning process. So planning process is the study or the research stage, means in which stage we do some research work to find some alternative. Next, after find out the alternative, we find a suitable one. So this is the thing for the existing. But what about the future? Because planning always means, as we see in the just before the slide, the minimum is short term is 3 years. So we need to do some transportation planning. We need to keep in your mind while we do to for any transportation planning, that it should be at least for the next 3 years. So we need some forecasting. That is here required the forecast stage. And finally is the evaluation stage, means for existing and for the forecasting situation, what will be the total budget, what will be the total cost, what are the various components we need to think. Based on that, we have to finally evaluate the thing. Now the thing is that we implement in some pilot project or in a small area basis. That is called the monitoring or the review, means whether we are going in the right direction or not. And if it is successful, then we go for the final implementation. So what is the planning process? A situation definition, problem definition, search for the solution, analysis of the performance, evaluation of the alternative, choice of the project, and specification of the construction. Means we have to first see what is the planning. Means why, where, what component we want to plan. Next is the in that component what is the actually problem. So for that we are going to plan. Next we have to search for the solution, and while we are searching for the solution, you can find out that there are n number of solutions, there are several solutions, and based on from that solution we have to select the best solution based on the all characteristics, all merits, demerits, or advantages and disadvantages. And finally we have to evaluate it, and we have to go for the specification on the construction by using our selected plan. So this is the situation definition. It involves all the activities required to understand the situation, that give a rise the rise to the perceived need for a transportation involvement, information about surrounding area, its people, and their travel habits may be obtained. So basically it is some informative session, as we are going for a when while we, if you remember, I have one time I have mentioned one term as a recognition survey. So recognitions or the preliminary survey is what? To get the physical, topographical, geographical information of that particular area. And in this situation it is called as the situation definitions. Means what are the various type of mode, what are the users demand. In a whole or in a nutshell, we should understand that what is the actual situation of that particular area. Next, from if we interact with the user, we can find out their problem, what are the problem they are facing, and based on that to describe the problem in terms of objective. Yes, if we can know the problem, from the problem itself we can find out our objective. In our regular classes also, if we know, yes, I am weak in differential equation. That means my objective to strengthen myself in the differential equation. So from the problem itself, I need to focus on the objective. Third one is the solution. What is the solution? How I can improve in differential equation? Suppose there are lots of things are there are online lectures are there are n number of books are there are class teachers are there, subject teachers are there, mentor are there, parents are there. So there are lots of options. Means I have to search for the solution who is good in the differential equation. Then we go for sir or ma'am, can you please teach me the differential equation, or can you give your valuable suggestion. So now I have to do some analysis based on my performance. And finally, after the after a course of 6 months or 3 months, I ask my mentor, can you please take a review test or a mock test so that I can judge myself. That is the evaluation of your evaluation of your understanding, evaluation of your processing or your planning. And the next, if I success, yes, I am now ready for any exam where I can attend all, at least all the differential equation questions. And finally, yes, I am expert in the differential equation. So this is a simple process you need to understand. This is very simple process. It is planning is a thing, transportation planning is a thing where which is implemented in our daily life. The concept of planning, the selection of the solution problem, the find the solution, selection of the base for solution, and finally the your implementation. So this thing happens in every aspect or every stage in our life. So the situations definition, it inventory responsive transportation facilities, measures the travel pattern, review prior studies. Problem definition, define objective, reduce travel time, search for a solution, consider option, location and type, and toll charges. And the analysis performance for the each option, determine the cost, traffic flow and impact. Because wherever we are talking about the planning, the final thing we need to be focused or need to be kept in mind is the cost. Because cost is one and the only thing every engineer, every student need to keep in their mind while going for any construction work or going for any planning work. Next is the evaluation alternative for bridge project. Determine the benefit and cost ratio, profitability, cost effectiveness. Means evaluation alternative. What are the various alternatives I need to evaluate? Choice of project. Consider the factor involved: revenue, cost, site location, political judgment, specification and construction, design of the bridge, construction, contractor selection, transfer completed to the bridge. This is the example given in terms of by considering a project work on the bridge. Next is the planning process. What are the planning process? The inventory process included the establishment of the data for the evaluation of the existing travel demand and existing travel capacity. Will involve two main tasks, which is collecting and processing data. Land use process, which requires detailed assessment and forecasting in terms of distribution of areas, population, employment, economic, social and land use activities. Trip generation, yes, these are the point I have discussed. The fourth thing, the trip generation. What is trip generation? So the trip generation means how many trips are generated from each and every household of each and every local area of each and every regional area and each and every national area and each and every international area. So from your household to some international transportation, how many number of trips are generated daily for based on their purpose of the trip, that is nothing but a trip generation. Suppose I want to go to market to buy some vegetables, that is also a trip, because I movement. What is trip? Trip is basically movement of any living and non-living element, that is the trip. So if I want to go from point A to point B, that is trip itself. If the students are want to go into colleges, want to go into colleges from their home or from their PG or from their hostel, that is also a trip. So used to predict which zone the traffic will flow, means what which zone is producing more trip or in generating more trip, gender distribution, how we distribute this trip. Suppose from point A 4% are want to go to point B. If suppose there are two alternative routes, then the total trips are distributed in 50%. So two can go that way, two can select this way. But if suppose there is a only alternative, only one alternative is there, so that means the traffic jam will be, the traffic volume is increasing, traffic travel time will increase, traffic jam will increasing, and the comfortable level is also increasing, decreasing. So the modal split to estimate the number of trips by different type of transport, limited to the public and the private transport only. Traffic assignment intended to give a traffic direction to which road and that to road in road and transport network. Assessment. The total assessment is the contains the testing and evaluation of the alternative selected before. Emphasis is on the ability of the traffic and environmental impact on the each alternative strategy, and to choose and determine the best transportation system for future needs. So now the travel demand model. What are the various models? So first one is the trip generation model. In this model, it determines the number of the trips that will begin or end in each traffic analysis zone. So our each and every area divided some zone. In everyone, you if you are living in hostel, if you are living in any rural area, any urban areas, any smart city, there will be some definite zones will be there. So based on these zones we calculate the how much trips are generated. To develop a relation between the trip end production and attract and land use, means what is the purpose of this land, why, what is the land use pattern of that, based on the trip generation are varied. So for different type of land use, the trip generation rate will be also different. To use the relationship to estimate the number of trips generated at some future date under a new set of land use condition. Trip distribution is a process by which the trip generated is one zone are allotted to another zone in the study area. These trips may within the study area or between the study area and the area outside the study area. Means the where the trips are want to move, whether in a local area, suppose I want to go to vegetable shop, so it will be within 500 radius, I can easily go. Now if I want to go some grocery shop, it will be in 1 kilometer radius, I can go to that. If I want to go to some shopping area, I mean shopping mall or shopping complex, it is 5 kilometer apart from my home, means the distance will be increased, means from which zone I want to go to which zone. So this is very important, the trip generation and the trip distribution. Trip generation means demand. Keep in your mind, trip generation means demand and trip distribution means supply. Whether what are the total demand initiated in a particular zone can be propagated or can be distributed in a proper way. So that is the balance between the demand and the supply. Next is the modal split. So modal split is basically or the selection of the mode selection. This is also mode selection, means which mode I will select. Suppose my income is per day is $1, so I will not go to by private car or the private vehicle or Ola Uber. So I will go to by public transport. Now if my daily wages is suppose $5, So I can think of shared taxi. But now if I earn a $20 per day, that means I can prefer the private vehicle. Okay, private vehicle. But if I private means rented vehicle. Now if I earn a per day $100, means I can own a vehicle for myself. Mean type of mode I am using based on the traffic volume, based on the income, based on the purpose of the trip. Next is the trip assignment. The final step in this is forecasting of the process. In this, to determine the actual street and highway route that will be used and number of the vehicles that can be expected on the highway segment, to give the traffic direction to which road in the road and the transport network. So the purpose of the travel demand model, this process is important to be transportation planning for provide new transportation system, improve the existing system, build highways and transit system and others. To determine the number of the trips that will use the existing transportation system, trips taken in the form of vehicle, transport, non-transport and private vehicles and the public transport. Transportation studies and transport and planning process. So for this, the whatever point I will show you, that thing already been covered. There are various type of transportation studies or planning, means what are the things we need to keep in mind, or we need to focus during the design of segment for a proper transportation planning. So first thing is that origin destination, traffic volume studies, spot speed studies, travel time and delay studies, parking studies. So this all these topics have already been discussed in a individual class itself. I have taken individual classes on origin destination, OND, traffic volume studies, spot speed studies, time and delay, and also for the parking. So I will not go to in details. I will just show you the this is the origin and destination, means what are the things we need to keep in your mind in origin destination. What is the application of origin destination? So origin and destination is basically done to find out the traffic volume, means the selection of the route. Suppose from point some users are coming from point A and they want to go to point B, so which route they are selection. From this OND survey we can find out the selection of the route. Traffic volume, based on the traffic volume we can find out the what will be the width of the road, whether I will go for a single lane or double lane or single way or the double way. So based on this traffic volume data, we can find out the, or we need to follow the proper planning process for width of the road. Then the application of the traffic volume as discussed. In spot speed, the speed is also one of the important parameter or aspect we need to do in we need to insert it in our planning report or planning aspect. Next, the application, because is the speed, based on the speed, the traffic, the speed and traffic volume are related to each other. So if the volume will be more, the speed will be less. If the volume will be less, and the speed will be more. So it is inversely proportional to each other. Next is the travel time and delay. Is, yes, speed will be more, then the time taken will be less and delay will be less. So again, the time, delay, speed, volume all are related to each other. And parking, as I already discussed, that there is on-street parking, off-street parking. What are the various type of orientation of the on-street parking? That thing already been discussed. So what are the general policies of the transportation planning? So the social aspects are improvement of the social aspects as can be done safely and comfortably. Economic aspect, with the existing variety of travel pattern activities such as improvement population and household income will be increased. Physical aspects, to create an efficient transportation system because of there are various mode of transportation introduced. So what is the capacity? It is winding the access, traffic lights, side work, traffic lights, parking or parking for the vehicles of two-wheeler, four-wheeler. That are the things also we can be managed. The priority of bus, trucks, spaces is limited, so we need to give some priority basis that which vehicles should be allowed first. Suppose in emergency we always allowed to move the ambulance or the our our fire brigades vehicles. So these are the priority basis we need to select the thing. And the restraint means access control, we need to provide some restriction of the movement by some traffic sign or the traffic marking. So the role of the transport policy is basically an active and improve and productive economic growth, provide increased accessibility and influences and prices and land use, affect the standard of living and affect the environment in the city. So this is all about your transportation planning and demand model. This is just a brief about the thing, because if I am going to discuss in detail about the trip generation, trip distribution, it itself take a single lecture itself. So this is a brief introduction. I will share you the details about the trip generation, trip distribution, modal split, and trip assignment. So this is for any query you can contact with me in the given email IDs and contact details. So till the next class, thank you.